everyone, my name is Jim Bob. I dedicated this channel to my love of movies, but the focus on my channel here is revisiting the older classics, while occasionally putting out a review of a newer release. If that sounds like your kind of thing, consider clicking that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss anything. So before making my own review of this movie, I watched a couple of other reviews on it, and they sure didn't like it anywhere near as much as I did. Sure, it's a downgrade from the last film in some aspect, but there's several other aspects where it improves. For the first time in a long time, I feel like there's a movie and a sequel that are on par with each other, and one isn't better than the other. They're pretty much neck and neck. Let me explain why It Chapter 2 floats too.
Float too, yo float too, yo float too, yo float too, yo float too.
Spoiler warning everybody, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. If you don't care about spoilers, hello, but if you do care about spoilers, I suggest you go watch the film first and then come back to this review. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, let's get to it. So a lot of the time, a movie will come out with either a younger or older version of a character, and it doesn't always work. Let me use some examples of times it hasn't worked. First off, this young Aquaman teenager is terrible. Cringy dialogue, looks nothing like Jason Momoa. And Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker is another example. Hayden Christensen, on the other hand, wasn't that bad, goddammit. With a better script he could have been so much more, but they turned him into a crybaby. But I stand by Hayden Christensen having great potential given the right script and direction. There, I said it. Please don't unsubscribe.
How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
But most definitely, Jennifer Lawrence is a bad young Mystique. No disrespect, J-Lo is awesome. She's my favourite actress. But there are certain roles for certain actors which work and some that don't. And for some examples of good casting choices for the older or younger versions of characters would be James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender as younger versions of Xavier and Magneto. But let's dive into the cast here. The cast in this movie are phenomenal. Bill Hader is the standout here, but James McAvoy, why doesn't this guy have an Oscar at this point? He's a great actor, but seriously, screw the Oscars. Unless a movie is some deep emotional drama, I don't look twice at movies like this, especially when it comes to the Best Actor award. But there's some extraordinary talent in this cast. James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, and of course Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Dancing Clown himself. I can absolutely buy into this cast being the older versions of the fantastic cast of kids that we saw in the first movie. The first movie as in 2017's It, not the original one from the 90s. But the most believable is definitely Bill Hader as older Richie. Finn Wolfhard was great as the younger version, and Bill Hader is so similar in almost every aspect, from the quirky jokes and the funny lines of dialogue he comes out with. Is completely on par with how funny Finn Wolfhard was in the first one. Exceptional casting choice. But Bill Hader may have been the standout, but James McAvoy, oh my god, this guy can act. He's the emotional centre of the whole group. He probably has the most scenes where it's something incredibly emotionally impactful, and the guy is just a treasure whenever he's on screen. James McAvoy, man, what an actor. What a goddamn actor. Give the guy an Oscar. What's wrong with you people? Jessica Chastain is great, Jay Ryan is great, James Ransone is great, and Isaiah Mustafa, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he's great too. That's a cool name, reminds me of the lava planet from, Star Wars. Mustafa. Okay, from now on, that's my new last name, everyone, okay? You have to address me as Jim Bob Mustafa. Anyway, I generally automatically cared for these characters with how much alike they are to the kids. Brilliant stuff. It wasn't like having to revisit a different version of these characters, having to introduce new storylines and anything like that, because they're so similar to the kids, you feel like you already know these characters. But not to take away any limelight from Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, he's the best thing about this film, and the character that holds the whole thing together. He's still terrifying, he's creepy, and even when he's just having little conversations with kids, laughing away all jolly and nice, talking about candy floss and popcorn, there's still this menacing element to him. It's weird to think that Pennywise could have been Will Poulter at some point, and to be honest, I can buy into that. But it's hard to picture Pennywise being played by anyone else now. It's even weird looking back on the 1990 original, seeing Tim Curry as Pennywise. Each of the human characters anyway, all great, more character arcs and backstory, they all learn something from themselves, and they all grow from each other. Let's dive into the story. So the story is pretty straightforward. Once again, Pennywise rises again to terrorise the kids of Derry, and when the whole group get a call from Mike when he assembles the Losers Club to come back and defeat him for good. So they all need to find these artefacts, which are little pieces of their past, like Eddie's pills or Georgie's little paper boat from the first one. And to do that, they need to remember what happened, because the further you are away from Derry, the more you tend to forget. Mike's the only one that didn't forget because he still lives in Derry. But what doesn't make sense about the whole story is that the source material for it is so straightforward and to the point. It absolutely baffles me that this movie's runtime is so goddamn long. Yeah, this is a long movie, almost 3 hours. So when the movie opens up, we're given a glimpse of Pennywise killing someone, then the losers called to meet at a restaurant. Pretty suddenly, Pennywise starts to mess with their heads and they start doing crazy shit, such as Richie slamming a chair on a table in a restaurant trying to kill these little creatures that Pennywise has put into their heads that only he can see. And the waitress in the restaurant just sort of stands there and looks at them, and there are just no consequences. It's really strange. They pretty much get away with murder in this and just nothing. No police, nothing. So once they all set out to find their artifacts, we're introduced to something that can get extremely repetitive. 5 scenes in a row that show each character go off on their own to try and find their artifact, while bouncing back and forth between flashbacks as them as a kid, while having an encounter with Pennywise. After the first time it was interesting and it got my attention, but seeing the same sort of scene pan out 5 times in a row made it difficult to sit through sometimes. Plus, I've never really been a big fan of flashbacks because the story suddenly changes to a completely different moment in time with different things happening, and it's a little distracting. Most known for this is Arrow, but the flashbacks in this film, to me anyway, are done quite well, although at times it gets a little repetitive and it can get a little bit annoying. But it never felt like to me like I felt like fast-forwarding the flashbacks like I did in Arrow. Nobody cares about Oliver Queen's time in the Russian brat for CW. So I think they could have trimmed this film down a little bit and make it shorter, because there's just some scenes that don't need to be in the film and scenes which could be shorter. So the special effects in this film can be great at times, and other times you can just tell that it's a lot of CGI. For example, scenes when Pennywise is messing with the losers' minds, and then he's turning into all these different things, like an old woman turns into this big demonic-looking creature, a statue comes to life, and towards the end when Pennywise is in his actual form, there's a lot of CGI going on. But it never feels distracting or too much, like maybe some of the scenes in Aquaman was like, whoa, that's a little too much CGI. But obviously you need a lot of CGI in a film like Aquaman, but in this film you don't. 2 more things before I get into my conclusion, guys. Main problems. The runtime is one, the flashbacks are another, but they don't bother me as much as these next 2 things. Some scenes with Pennywise in, I mean, he's supposed to be this terrifying menace anyway. And sometimes, in It Chapter 1 in 2017, they show Pennywise hidden in the dark. He'd be in like a tunnel, or the bushes, or a drain pipe. And then it was just so menacing seeing like the darkness around him, and you can only see like parts of him. But in this film, he's shown in broad daylight, floating on a bunch of balloons, which takes away the menacing effect of it. And the final thing, which I don't really like about this movie that much, is that there's a character in it. I forgot the dude's name. What's his name again? Byers, that's it, Byers. Finally! So Byers is in this film again as an adult, and pretty much you could take that character out of the film and nothing would change, nothing would be different. So it felt pretty pointless shoving him in the film like this, so that could have been trimmed out, and several other scenes which were a bit repetitive could have been trimmed out as well. But the biggest praise I will give to the special effects in this film was the CGI facial de-aging thing, which a lot of films are doing recently. Obviously the kids from 2017's It are not going to look the same anymore, so I didn't even notice. Like, to be honest, they look exactly the same. And there's been other reviews that I've watched, like Chris Stuckman's in particular. He said he noticed this and it was a little distracting. Well, that guy has a really good eyesight, because I didn't notice. But overall, I'm going to get to my conclusion here. Despite a few issues I have with the film, It Chapter 2 definitely floats too. I think it's on par with the first one. Maybe if I had to pick a favourite for the sake of picking a favourite, it would be the first. But to be honest, I like both these movies. I really don't see why It Chapter 2 is like a train wreck or a bad movie like some other critics have pointed it out to be, or a huge downgrade from the first one. To me, it's a little downgrade, just a little bit. As big as a marble. People from the 90s, you remember marbles, don't you? Alright guys, overall, It Chapter 2 is a great film. Could have been trimmed down, but it's still a great film, so I'm going to give it an A. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I really do. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content just like this. Remember, you are awesome. Take care.